Mr. Rock Chen. Deputy President, one highlight of the third plenum of the 20th CPC Central Committee is reform. The latest policy address echoes that spirit. Reform comes up more than 30 times in the Chinese text of the policy address. Many ideas from our party, the DAB, have been adopted, and that includes streamlining listing. 4 cross-bureau committees, the government faces up to challenges. This mindset deserves our recognition. So, here's what I think about the PA. In history, we had this genius strategist. Now we have this brilliant chief executive offering great policies. I want to comment on the theme of the policy address, reforming for enhancing development and building our future together. The emphasis is on together. We need the community to work together. The public, businesses, the government, let's all work together on reform. And that's how we can meet our goals. Reform is not just for the government. This takes a community-wide effort instead. We should all work together so that Hong Kong can go from stability to prosperity. Let's get our priorities right in reform. The government is proactive in its approach. We look at changes in the economy, in society, and then we adapt to changes. When the moment is ripe, we roll out measures to stay ahead of the game. Let's also step up our organization skills so that we can deliver measures with success. This is to enhance people's sense of gain and well-being. I will save my specific points for later sessions. Dr. Tik Ji-yun. Deputy President, one country, 2 systems is here to stay. It's a good system. There should be no deviation. The system should stay here beyond 2047. Hong Kong should stay competitive. We stick to the common law system. We keep capitalism. We keep the principle of Hong Kong people administering Hong Kong. We keep the original lifestyle. This means people are free to come and go. People have freedom of assembly and procession. All those points are enshrined in the Basic Law. 2019, we had the social incident. The central government started caring deeply about national security since then. Our country does not want Hong Kong to become a base for endangered national security, so we had the Hong Kong National Security Law, and then we enacted the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance. Some worry that our freedom is limited by these 2 pieces of legislation. Our officials stressed time and again that our people's rights and freedoms are protected by the ICC, by the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, and also the International Convention on Cultural, Social, and Education. It takes time for people to adapt to the new laws. So, for law enforcement agencies, please act with restraint. Let's not overdo it. And I also say, let's guard against self-censorship. We have our country's support. We have global connections. That's our strategic positioning. Hong Kong has played a key role in our country's economic development. Back in the days of the reform and opening up, Hong Kong business leaders set up factories in Shenzhen that drove the development of the mainland's industry. And Hong Kong's business also benefited. It was win-win. On global connections, Hong Kong is a global city. We have long-standing ties with the overseas community. That's our strength. Geopolitics has complicated the picture. We have to find our niche in this complex international landscape. We don't want to make enemies. We don't try to confront other places. We look for common ground. We look for opportunities for win-win outcomes so that we can play our role as a super connector. Going from stability to prosperity. A family can thrive only when there's harmony. Healing has yet to happen in Hong Kong. Antagonism remains. That's why the government should foster reconciliation. The government should lead by example, listen to people with different politics. And then we can have harmony and diversity. And then we can rebuild trust in the community. Deputy President, we're in a tough spot. There's stability, but people are uneasy. Some people in Hong Kong lack a sense of belonging. They lack confidence in the future. But what matters is most people stay in Hong Kong and they strive for their families and for the community. The previous generation worked overtime to support their families. This generation, social workers, nurses, other workers also contribute to the community. Our next generation will contribute to Hong Kong in other ways. We overcome one hurdle after another. Our moment will come. That day will come. I so submit, Deputy President. I support the motion of thanks. Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. Thank you, Deputy President. I support the motion of thanks moved by you. This is the Chief Executive's third policy address. It's about for people's well-being and the economy. It's a balanced policy address. There's focus on reforms and development for the future. I'm fully confident in the capable government. The government has taken on board a wide range of ideas, including those from me, on integration into national development. The PA has devoted much discussion to that. I will save my points to other sessions. Now, the PA started by stressing the importance of reforms and deepening GBA collaboration. We need to work with the GBA to build up our capacity. The Secretary for Development worked on mutual recognition of professional qualifications and titles with the mainland. Professionals get recognized for their qualifications and titles. That also matters for promotion in the construction sector. Hong Kong and the mainland have different systems. Hong Kong managed to work with Guangdong on this accreditation system for professional titles, and that will be extended to other professionals. Hong Kong's professionals used to struggle with getting professional titles in the mainland, but now 207 Hong Kong engineers managed to work through this accreditation of professional title system to obtain mainland professional titles. That brought more opportunities for the construction sector. This shows our country's support and care for Hong Kong's professionals. Our local professionals can better contribute to our country. The government should keep up the work and regularize this kind of mutual recognition. I have also benefited from this scheme by earning a recognition as an engineer. Now I turn to the protection of computer systems of critical infrastructures. The government will table a bill this year setting out the duty on the operators of 8 kinds of critical infrastructures. This is to step up protection for those computer systems. Those operators need to have the capability to protect the cyber systems. This bill is right in its direction, but this should only be a start. Universities, data centers, cloud providers may also have access to sensitive data with national security implications. So let's look at Singapore. On the 7th of May this year, Singapore passed their own cybersecurity bill. There, the coverage covered STCC owners and also ESCI bodies and also FDI service providers. The protection has been extended to cloud computing in Singapore. With new technologies like AI and cloud computing, we need computing power to go hand in hand. So for AI and digital infrastructure, let's look at the risks involved. We should continuously amend our laws to build this protective barrier. I so submit for this session. Mr. Ambrose Lam. Deputy President, the policy address this year is about reform for enhancing development and building our future together. This is in line with our times. The world is going through changes of a magnitude unseen in a century. Hong Kong should identify, adapt to, and embrace the changes in the world. The Basic Law states that we keep our capitalist system and way of life after 1997. But let's look at the colonial era. The government back then made many changes to our laws in the run-up to 1997. Many rules were laid down, and that tied the hands of the government, leading to social tension. On the 1st of July 2022, President Xi called for streamlining our rules. We should ditch old ways and establish new rules. We need reforms to move forward. In July, LegCo passed the Government Leases Extension Bill. That's an example of streamlining rules. That brought in a new lease extension system. 300,000 leases due to expire in 2047 will see automatic renewal. That bill streamlined lease extension. The bill also made life easier for landowners. 2047 is not the deadline that inspired greater confidence in our system. In other systems, finance, legal, land, housing, we need both reforms. Let's get rid of the legal straitjacket left behind by the British colonial government. The chief executive set up the steering committee on integration into national development to lead the community in integrating into the mainland, including the GBA. That covers convergence of rules and mechanisms. Hong Kong should be a gateway between the mainland and the world. We need connections not just with overseas countries, but also ties with the mainland. But look at our systems and our government. We need reforms. Take the legal sector as an example. In the GBA, you have both the common law system and the civil law system. There's much room for development. In Shanghai, there are joint law firms, and then we also have the GBA legal examination for lawyers. the mainland needs and recognizes Hong Kong's lawyers. There's much room for collaboration between legal professionals of Hong Kong and the mainland. Letting Hong Kong lawyers set up law firms without joint ventures across the country would be a great idea, but such joint law firms and the GBA legal qualification exams are not initiatives from the Hong Kong government. Instead, the Law Society campaigned for them over many years.
I made a start in championing this idea, and the torch was then passed to Dr. Junius Ho. Whereas the government has been quite passive. And this is a problem with the government structure. The British colonial government back then advocated the idea of laissez-faire policy and that everything was left to the market. Now, under one country, two systems, we need to leverage our institutional strengths. We also need to dovetail our systems with the mainlands. We should have more discussions with the mainland authorities. We need to align our standards to make sure that law firms will be able to operate in the mainland. But this will only happen when there is G2G negotiations. If it starts with a law society, then they won't budge an inch. We are told that, well, you can work on it on your own, but unless there is approval from the central authority, the government will not do anything about it. I think the Department of Justice should play a more proactive role in promoting the development of the legal profession. That means, for example, there should be a reform on the structure of the legal professional bodies. We have two legal professional bodies in Hong Kong, and a reform should be conducted. Now, the next point is that the Department of Justice has been publicizing our advantages in dispute resolution services. Now, the Department of Justice has done a good job, but in terms of mediation in the sector, again, the government is passing the buck to the legal profession. Mediation and arbitration in Hong Kong is expensive and it's slow. It's like a cha chan tang in Hong Kong. Customers feel fleeced because the service is poor and everything is pricey. We should review the arbitration ordinance. In order to undertake reform, we need to remove red tape. It seems that the government departments at the moment are relying heavily on legal advice provided by the legal Department of Justice. But with limited manpower resources, the DOJ is unable to respond promptly to the requests of government departments. And according to these departments, they are helpless. They have no alternative but to wait for DOJ's advice. The people's requests are brushed aside. We should make reference to other jurisdictions' practices. Some of the work of the DOJ should be outsourced to the legal profession so that a DOJ official can lead a team comprising private legal practitioners so that resources can be released to update the obsolete laws to keep up with the times and meet the present needs of society. I so submit. Priscilla Leung. Deputy President, I speak in support of Ms. Starry Lee's motion. I say that this policy address is pragmatic, is feasible, it also carries a global vision. First of all, I congratulate the Chief Executive for the third policy address since the start of this term of government. We face difficult external headwinds and complexity in the geopolitical environment. We are seeking progress whilst maintaining stability. And I believe that the government has achieved results. It's pragmatic in the sense that people can feel the government's efforts. It is also a policy address that supports R&T development, apart from looking after people's livelihood. This year, the government completed this exercise. This is a long-awaited exercise. We've waited for 20 months, 20 years and 8 months. That is, the government completed the legislative exercise on Article 23 legislation. The government took action resolutely and finally delivered this result to the people of Hong Kong and to the central authorities in safeguarding national security. According to Mr. Shah, in a recent meeting with the business sector, we should not just be bystanders. We are the participants, contributors, and the beneficiaries. Now, what's important in the third plenary session is that we need to further deepen reform comprehensively. Since the start of this term of government, we have had a lot of interactions with the chief executive and the government officials. And for the meetings at the end or exchange sessions in the NT chamber, I'd say that it's fruitful. In 2023, in March, in fact, I put forward the idea of making the rule of law in Hong Kong a brand. I understand it's been 1.5 years. I understand that this idea is being translated into action. I've often been approached by the Secretary for Justice, for example. That is, we have 3 different places and different legal systems. And how do we make our common law system a brand? This is the outcome of such interaction. In March 2024, together with the NPC in Guangdong and the NPC deputy in Macau, we made the submission, and that we floated this idea at a panel meeting, and the deputy chief secretary called me immediately because this proposal have gained a lot of traction at the national level. Now we have the steering group on integration into national development. We also have the 4 working groups, the working group on promoting silver economy, on promoting low altitude economy, as well as the committee on education, talent, and technology, as well as the working group to tackle subdivided units. 10 months on, we are seeing results. I've been championing different ideas and issues for more than a decade. And in fact, since last year, since the start of this term of government, in fact, we have been seeing results. And I'll come to that later. Let me now refer to John Lee's response to what Mr. Shah said, that is 3 beliefs and 6 months. We need to consolidate our strengths. We need to develop new growth points. We need to unleash our development potential and boost our vitality. So there are 3 beliefs and 6 musts. We can't rely on the business sector to complete this mission. We need the government's input as well. Take Yau Chun Mong as an example. Last year, we started a large-scale land disposal approach for the district. It started with the Flower Market Street. And in fact, I've been talking about this for 18 years, and I'm referring to environmental protection, and now we see the development of green finance. Likewise, we need the tripartite participation by the community, by the government, and by the business sector, so that we see progress in urban planning. I now turn to the rule of law. As I mentioned, we're the international hub of legal talents, and we are the only place in our country practicing common law system. And I need to declare that I'm a member of the expert group on the International Legal Talent Training Academy. We need to combine the forces of the common law system and the civil law system in the mainland. We need to reflect on our past and look upon the future. Now, the chief executive in his policy address refers to the community mediation scheme. In 2009, I handled cases relating to the Lehman Brothers. Many investors fell victim, and we back then promoted mediation because not many victims could afford taking the case to the court. We need to work on minute details in order to govern the place well. And we have various community problems such as water seepage and disputes in the neighborhood. We have non-legal professionals such as social workers and HR managers. They have the expertise and they can become mediators for the community as well. Now, for the International Organization for Mediation, it's an international organization. Now, I also took part in the mediation process in Shanghai. I provided expert advice, expert opinion. So even for mediation, expert advice is needed. For IOMED, I think it's for us to showcase that we are the leader and we have yielded success in promoting mediation. We should stay ahead of the game. As for the IP trading hub, well, in fact, even before the secretary assumed office, I already told him that IP is a very important area for foreign investors. Now, this is a very important profile that is for us to build this database. Is a very important step. Making the rule of law a brand. We started in March last year, and this year in the Greater Bay Area, we have made progress. And like you said, you'd like to take it further to the Greater Bay Area as well. And for the world-class M&A center, I think we are on a par with our competitors like Singapore. We have auditors, financiers, other talents in the financial services industry. I believe that we'll be able to create a bigger pie here. We can become good salesmen for different sectors, and that a joint effort is required, not only from the government but from the sectors as well. Now, for the past decade, we've been discussing land for INT, and now we have sites ready in the loop, and it's about cutting red tape. We also need to build a international talent pool, and this policy address places emphasis on trawling for talents as well as retaining talents. The Committee on Talent, on Education, Technology and Talent will be set up. I believe that this committee will play a very important role. Once commissioned, definitely an all-out effort will be made to come up with some measures. In fact, I had another suggestion, that is Hong Kong should be developed into an international education hub, and there should be a summit for university presidents, school principals to come together. I put forward this proposal in March, and on the 2nd and 3rd of December, this event will be held. I hope that the government officials will participate as well so that we show hospitality. Do squeeze time to take part in this event. Against the current backdrop, we're able to invite over 50 principals from around the world to come to Hong Kong. This is the right step ahead. Hong Kong is such a beautiful place. We have nice natural landscape. We have a good system. We need to showcase our strengths. That Hong Kong is not a city. It's not the lockdown city. We are an international city.
Besides education, I really have to talk about silver economy. This is something very dear to our hearts. This is a collaborated product between the BPA and the FTU. How amazing is that? We have the working group on promoting silver economy, silver finance and insurance scheme, as well as unleashing silver impetus. Now, starting 2012, I together and Mr. Wong Kwok Heng strove for the $2 scheme so as to unleash the silver labor force. Now, a lot of baby boomers would like to see that happened. Now, I hope the new measure can ensure that these people can remain active. These people are really active. The $2 scheme is really useful because they are active. They want to go out and do volunteering work and so on. But I agree that we need to have a system to prevent abuse of the transport subsidy scheme. But I hope that this scheme can stay alive. And also we have a dwindling birth rate. Now, these people in their advanced age are still capable of contributing to the economy. For example, in Korea, there are lots of silver-haired people doing modeling job and acting jobs. They pander to the silver economy market. And also there is a movie starring Robert De Niro called The Intern. He became an intern after his job as a CEO. He, as an intern, taught the young CEO wisdoms about doing business. So there should be a silver economy fund to help those people who can still work to do so. I believe that to allow healthy and capable silver-haired people to share the fruits of economy is important. Now, I want to applaud the HYAB on promoting a good family values and cultures to respond to the national value. Marriage should be between a man and a woman. This is the cornerstone of stability in society. We have to work together to protect this. This is important for the healthy growth of young people. So I thank the HYAB. I also thank the various working groups and committees. In particular, I would like to thank the district service and care teams. Many of the volunteers in the care teams are volunteering their own resources and money and time, but I think their workload is too heavy. They should be given more public resources. They are volunteers after all. So compared with other public services, they should be given more resources. I have to speak up for them, otherwise they can't take up after what was left behind by the government departments and other civil servants. We need to take action rather than just spectators. We need to join hands and vote a confidence vote in the policy address. Mr. Tony Jie. Thank you, Deputy President. First of all, I thank the Chief Executive for delivering the 2024 policy address. The title is Reform for Enhancing Development and Building Our Future Together. In terms of developing the economy, promoting industrial growth, trawling for talents and land and housing, I can see that this government has been seeking changes and renewing itself. A large number of our suggestions, including those from the G19 members, were adopted. However, as I said many times before, determination and policies alone are not enough. We need implementation and execution so that people can feel the tangible results of good governance. To do that, we need to ensure that the civil service is delivering and that the mindset has changed. In recent times, many civil servants have moved away from the traditional mindset of active non-interference, and they are taking up a facilitator's role rather than just regulators. They understand they can't sit on their hands in terms of industrial growth. However, some departments and civil servants are still unfamiliar with the challenges faced by businessmen and their operations. As a result, a lot of requirements are not up to date. In the end, the intended results were not achieved. For example, over the past few months, there were several tender withdrawals. That goes against the presidency's motto of combining a highly effective market with a capable government. Now, the CSB has done quite a lot to enhance civil servants' understanding of the country and the GBA. Study visits and training courses were organized. Still, some departments and civil servants are still clinging on to the old mindset that Hong Kong's standards in terms of manufacturing and workflow is the best. They scorn upon the standards in the mainland, and they did not make reference to the country standard. If we don't change this culture, we can't achieve complementary growth with the other cities in the GBA, and we will be missing out on the opportunities. This is a structural issue, and I understand that we can't address it in a short time. But I hope the chief executive and the top management of the government would face it head-on and seek changes. I so submit. Mrs. Regina Ip. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the motion of thanks moved by Dr. Starry LEE. I also thank the Chief Executive for delivering such a policy address filled with contents. This is the third policy address of Mr. John Lee. The juncture is also critical. It is a historical moment. It is the 75th anniversary of the birth of new China. We are celebrating the anniversary. At the same time, it is the 40th anniversary of our country's reform and opening up. It is an unprecedented economic miracle achieved by the country. This year is also remarkable in that, as many members have pointed out, we have completed the constitutional duty conferred upon us under Article 23 of the Basic Law. We have enacted the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance and plugged all the loopholes, and there is also an effective enforcement mechanism. We are fully prepared to emerge from chaos to stability and then to prosperity. 3. The delivery of the policy address coincides with the resolution of the third plenary session of the 20th Central Committee on the 18th of October. The resolution was passed that day. The resolution comprises of 17 chapters. Hong Kong was mentioned in Chapter 15, paragraph 27. Simply put, the mission conferred upon us are: 1. Hong Kong and Macau must play a vital role in the country's opening up. We must play a better role. Hong Kong and Macau, the two special administrative regions, must play a larger role in the country's opening up. 2, deepening collaboration within the GBA and enhance alignments of rules and standards. Now, on GBA collaboration, there are lots of mentions in the policy address. Now, prior to the delivery of the policy address on the 9th of October, the government, together with the Ministry of Commerce, entered into the second amendments concerning the CEPA mechanism. The second amendment provides more facilitation for Hong Kong enterprises to enter the mainland market. It gives our businesses greater market access. So there are some marvelous measures. In many areas, the 3-year qualification has been removed. For construction industry and for professional services practitioners, the 3-year qualification requirement has been removed. And for most service areas, the ratio of Hong Kong investment has been reduced. And more importantly, Hong Kong investing company can opt for Hong Kong law and also opt for arbitration to be held in Hong Kong. These are very attractive for foreign investors who use Hong Kong as a springboard to enter the GBA. I am a movie buff. Now, there are lots of opening up measures in terms of the film industry. Our film producers can directly invest in productions in the mainland. And also, the film products, films which have been sold out, can be wholesaled in the mainland. This is very helpful. Now, a lot of cinemas have closed recently. However, there are several blockbusters produced locally and critically acclaimed. So CEPA 2, the second amendment, which was entered into on the 9th of October, would become effective next March. This is very beneficial for Hong Kong's integrating into the GBA. I heard another suggestion from the industry. I would like to refer it to the Secretary. I was told by some internet media operators that they would like to gain access into the mainland market. They are willing to abide by all the regulatory measures in the mainland. They are even willing to engage in joint venture. As long as quality internet media operators in Hong Kong can operate in the mainland, they can paint a clearer picture for mainland netizens. You can see that there are lots of misinformation on Xiaohongshu about Hong Kong. Some say that there is a breaking news about Hong Kong permanent residency, and then I found that to be untrue. There are a lot of misunderstandings towards Hong Kong. If we have local media operators operating in the mainland according to mainland rules, then it can boost their advertisement revenue. And it would also be helpful in terms of painting a clearer picture of Hong Kong to mainland netizens. Moving on to another area about Hong Kong's role in the country's opening up. What can we do? Now, the policy address has lots of measures to enhance our hardware as an international aviation, shipping, logistics, trading hub, and also as a financial hub, connectivity with the mainland in terms of financial services, commodity trade, and gold trade. There's a lot. However, I would like to see more mentioning of our intangible resources. What are they? That is, we have a highly internationalized, inclusive culture. with this culture, we can help bridging the country and the world. I see Mr. Eric Tsang here. On inclusivity, if a culture is inclusive, we need to be inclusive towards various people with various leanings, including different sexual orientation. Now, no one is fighting for the legalization of same-sex marriage anymore because there has been a ruling handed down by the CFA. According to Article 37, same-sex marriage is against the legislative intent of Article 37. However, in last September, the CFA said that for the sake of fair rights, the government should implement an alternative system so that same-sex couples can enjoy the same rights as heterosexual couples.
That ruling was handed down in early September last year. In late September, the court order came out. More than a year has passed. I put in a written question. The reply I got was the Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Bureau would consult the public. It's been a year. I hope the Secretary, Mr. Eric Tsang, can wrap up the consultation soon and tell LegCo and the public what progress we've made about this alternative framework. I mentioned being inclusive to different groups. Hong Kong is doing very well in human rights. We entered into many agreements on human rights. We have far more such agreements than the US. We have agreements on labor rights and other forms of human rights. Our human rights track record is better than many Asian countries. I know our officials attended the Geneva meeting on what we have achieved in protecting human rights. We have great freedom of the press here. We have different international media outlets here. No change after 2019. Some outlets scaled down their staff here, chiefly because of travel restrictions during COVID years. Some people left, but they wanted to come back. So for our government, how do we do better in helping our countries reform and opening up? Let's promote our hardware and also our soft power. We are aligned with global practice. Our values are aligned with the outside world, and that will help us attract investments. Mr. Eric Yim. The Chief Executive's policy address echoes calls from the central government. It's about recognizing, adapting to, and embracing changes. The government took on board many ideas from us. The government shows its determination to pursue reforms and development. The policy address charts a bright way forward. The PA inspires market confidence. But at the same time, let's also bear in mind Director Xiao Baolong's remarks. Let's translate our patriotism into concrete actions. Let's pursue patriotic education. We need more people on the working group on patriotic education. People from different groups should also be involved in that group. Let's also mobilize our district councils and care teams. We need to raise awareness of our laws among our young people so that young people achieve their life goals and contribute to our country. Let's leverage the GBA strength. Mainland cities are doing well in tech. We have a great legal system. So let's take this northern metropolis as an opportunity. We need new land disposal models. We bring in outside businesses, get them to set up regional or global headquarters here. so that we pursue tech development together. Hong Kong needs to play a key role in the global tech industry chain. And we have the River Loop, and we also want to become a shipping center. So that means we need to work with Shenzhen to create this port cluster so that different cities of the GBA complement each other. Last year, I made this suggestion about new setup in the River Loop. We can try new things and explore new ideas. Deputy President, the PA puts forward a blueprint. The common ground is to work for people's well-being. The PA will bring in a new atmosphere as we pursue high-quality development. People will also get a greater sense of gain, well-being, and security. I so submit I will also speak on other points in other sessions. Mr. Lai Tong Kwok. Deputy President, I support the motion of thanks. The 2024 policy address is pragmatic. It charts the way forward for Hong Kong. It also takes on board ideas from different people in the community, and that includes ideas from the New People's Party, the Maritime and Port Authority Board, ecotourism, and also sports arbitration. That shows the PA response to community calls. Now, for this session, I want to say this. The supplement sets out many measures to improve the benefits for the civil service. I support that. The latest figures from the government show we have 19,000 vacancies in the civil service. In the discipline services, 8,800 vacancies. More than 3,000 officers resigned last year, or 1.8% of the total civil service. To enhance the governance capabilities of the civil service, we want to keep experienced civil servants. To get there, we need better benefits. First, dental benefits. In late 2023, I was the chairman of a subcommittee on benefits for CSAPs or civil service eligible persons. At one meeting of that subcommittee, we suggested that the Health Bureau should seize collaboration opportunities in the GBA, such that CSAPs should be given access to dental care in the GBA. A year on, the government adopted the idea. We only have 2,000 places under this pilot scheme now, but we hope that once this scheme works well, we can see more places. That means even if we're short of dentists in Hong Kong, civil servants can expect a shorter waiting time to access dental care. Now, I turn to Chinese medicine. There are 3 Chinese medicine clinics for civil servants, more than 100,000 appointments per year. Still, there is keen demand for acupuncture among civil servants. The PA said more places would come on stream. In 2025 to 26 and 2026 and 27, there will be 2,000 and 3,000 extra places, respectively. It's just a 5% rise, but we failed to even hit the 100,000 place target a few years back. So as we look for land for CM clinics for civil servants, can we first consider government offices? Can we get visiting CM practitioners to visit those government offices? Many civil servants visit CM practitioners not for acute conditions. Instead, those workers are at the clinic for long-term chronic problems, like problems from COVID in the past. Having visiting CM practitioners will save time. It will save commuting time for civil servants. We can also save money from finding a site for such clinics. Drug delivery is already available. So the dispensing of CM medicine can happen elsewhere. That means you only need a small room for CM consultations. Government offices should be able to find such a space in their buildings. Now, on family-friendly measures for civil servants, I welcome the child care leave and also the special work arrangement for holidays or the eves of holidays. Family-friendly measures can be further improved. Civil servants told me that, say it's Parents' Day at their children's school, or something happens, civil servants have to pick up and drop off their children in person. They just need a couple of hours off. But the leave system only allows civil servants to take half days off. I know there are many civil servants in Hong Kong. We cannot have smaller units of leave. Otherwise, that would be administratively challenging. But public services are going digital. Technology is available. That means we can explore ways to improve leave arrangements for civil servants. We should not let inertia affect family-friendly measures. Now I turn to the pilot scheme of flu shots for civil servants. Indeed, the flu shot is one of the best ways to prevent the flu. That way, in the flu season, we will have enough civil servants to offer quality and efficient public services. Frontline civil servants come into frequent contact with the public. Protecting those frontline workers also means protecting the public. I support this pilot scheme. I have some thoughts on this scheme. There are 30,000 places under this pilot scheme, and they're all for the inactivated flu shot. And they're all injections. So as we review this pilot scheme, can we also do nasal spray attenuated virus vaccines as well? Because that would give an extra option to children of civil servants.
Mr. Benson Look, Deputy President, the Chief Executive has delivered the policy address this year. This is an echo to the important remarks delivered by Presidency on the 1st of July 2022. That is, it also implements the resolution endorsed by the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee. Now, this policy has a very clear direction. That is, we should seek and embrace changes and undertake reforms. We've put forward over 90 proposals that have been taken on board. For example, the support for SME principal moratorium, helping young people get on the housing ladder. There are also other measures that help drive economic development and improve people's livelihood. This is a response to people's aspirations and support to address people's needs. Mr. Xia Baolong, director of the Hong Kong and Macau office, attended a symposium last Friday. In meeting the business leaders of Hong Kong, he emphasized that Hong Kong must not be a one-trick pony. We must be able to find new growth points for the future development of Hong Kong. This policy address is titled Reform for Enhancing Development and Building Our Future Together. There are short-term solutions such as lowering the liquor duty rate, as well as medium to long-term development plans for young people and for, say, promoting the development of the northern metropolis. Mr. Xia bids the business sector to remain the core driving force of Hong Kong. And I believe in terms of the economy, the business sector will definitely continue to invest in their businesses. They will also invest in emerging industries so that they can be participants and contributors to building the 8 centers in Hong Kong as set out in the 14th Five-Year Plan. Now, this year's policy address places emphasis on collaboration among the government, business sector, and the community, such as youth hostel, transitional housing projects, Strive and Rise program, which I also participated. There is tripartite collaboration among the government, the business sector, and the community. The government provides policy support, the business sector provides resource support, and the youths are the participants. I hope that this kind of collaboration model can be one solution to address social problems in Hong Kong. We need to have a stable environment to spearhead development. In March this year, the Hong Kong SL government completed the historic mission and the constitutional duty of enactment of Article 23 of the Basic Law so as to improve the national security system in Hong Kong. I'm also a member of the Bills Committee. We're happy to learn that in order to enhance our resilience against cyber attacks, the government within this year will be tabling a bill. This is tentatively called a Critical Infrastructure Computer Systems Protection Bill. According to reports, the SAR government originally proposed that operators of the CII must report on a change of ownership of the computer systems. But having heeded the views of stakeholders during the consultation process, especially to the fact that listed companies have frequent changes of ownership, and it's hard to report to the dedicated office each time. The government has decided to acknowledge this actual difficulty, and the government has indicated that it will actively consider adjusting this requirement. I'm happy to learn that the government shares the same vision as the business sector, and that we also put security as our top priority. I'm going to save my other points in the subsequent sessions. Dr. Wendy Hong. Deputy President, I support the policy address. The Chief Executive in October delivered the 3rd policy address within his term. After implementing the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong and completing the mission of Article 23 legislation, this policy address primary focus is on addressing people's livelihood through reforms. Reform is the core of this policy address. That means we need to overhaul the old systems In this session, I'd like to focus on one point, and that is the government's role in economic development. The core of the reform in this wave is to reform the role of the government so that we can have integration of a capable government and efficient market so as to create new opportunities for Hong Kong people. Before 1997, the British colonial government adopted the laissez-faire policy, or the small government, big market principle. There is a clear delineation of roles. The government is responsible for the running of the city. It's responsible for providing infrastructure, whereas for economic development, the C&I sector would play the leading role. The British colonial government never formulated any blueprint to support the development of individual industries or the economy as a whole. The philosophy worked under the British colonial rule. Hong Kong was able to create one miracle after another. But after 1997, this philosophy remained. It was instilled in the community for quite a long time. But against the new backdrop in this new era, is it still applicable as Hong Kong is facing more and more deep-seated conflicts? We have been unable to address our overcome hurdles. We are short of talents or experience. Well, the problems are based on accusations of business government collusions, and the opposition camp, comprising anti-China forces, kept accusing the government of colluding with the business sector. There was a lack of long-term policy to support industrial development. Without long-term policy to support the development of industries, the government would shun these allegations by distancing itself from the business sector. It was very difficult to take forward public-private partnership projects that would be conducive to economic development. We have various lists, but we do not have a blueprint. We do not have policy support. As a result, the traditional advantages of Hong Kong were eroded. It was difficult to develop new industries. Like Mr. Xia Baolong said, Hong Kong must not be a one-trick pony. And our economic structure is becoming homogeneous, and we have a wider wedge in society. There is a now wider social divide. So we need to undertake reform. We need to open up. That means we need to reform our systems and open up our minds. It's been 20 years since reunification or return of Hong Kong to the motherland. The notion of a small government in a big market is quite outdated. The government instead should be more proactive. That is what is called integration of a capable government and efficient market. Now that we've implemented the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong and completed legislation on Article 23, we have laid the good soil for reforms to take place. The SAR government should be bold in taking up the role as the participants, contributor, and the driver of reforms. In fact, this policy address refers to reform of the governing structure, reform of the civil service. There are also blueprints in relation to 7 areas of growth and also 8 industries. There is also an initiative on collaboration among the government, business sector, research, and the community. And this is the first solid step towards reform. The CNI sector, after all, is the major market player. It is essential that they take part in the process. On the 8th of November, Mr. Shah bidded the business sector to base a business in Hong Kong so that they could thrive and they should support the long-term development of Hong Kong. The Chief Executive John Lee also asked the business sector to translate words into concrete actions to show that they are patriots who care about their home. I think that as we face changes unseen in the century, we should make sure that the CNI sector is enthusiastic about the reform. And that means we should create an enabling and favorable environment for the CNI sector. We should create more room for development. We should tap markets other than the markets in Western countries for them. We should relax rules and cut red tape to create a more favorable business environment for them. On government procurement efforts, more should be done to support SMEs and professionals locally. For industries with potential, sufficient land should be provided to lower the cost of production. We should also actively attract incoming talents and train local talents. We should enhance our capacity in the upgrading and transformation of traditional industries as well as supporting emerging industries. Now, interest is a top priority of the CNI sector. This is beyond doubt. And at the same time, I believe that they need to shoulder their responsibility. They should make long-term investments more actively. And we also need to shoulder this responsibility together so as to undertake reforms and continue to create impetus and vitality for Hong Kong. In the new round of reform and opening up of our country, Hong Kong will be able to play a more significant role. I so submit. Mr. Charles Siu-chung. Deputy Secretary, thank you. And this year's policy address, the Chief Executive clearly sets out his idea of reform. He mentions that we need to address shortcoming, we need to consolidate our strengths and improve on our existing system. And I fully agree with his remarks. Now that we've completed the mission of legislation on Article 23, we have plugged the loophole in the national security system, and it's high time that we undertook the deepening of reforms. In order to achieve that, we need to form a team of civil servants that is patriotic and professional. I am happy to learn that the government talents development program, so that the different training programs will be consolidated under this program to groom the talents that we need for the coming decade. According to the supplements to the policy address, support will be given for different organizations to run training programs for civil servants. This is welcomed by civil service unions. However, apart from nominating civil servants to visit museums and take part in the training programs, more support should be given. For example, thematic talks on national studies. Support should be given in terms of the invitation to speakers and hiring of venues. At the same time, the government must address the issue of vacancies in the civil service. Since the second quarter of last year, the vacancy rate of the civil service has remained at 10%, and the situation is dire for some particular grades. In the past, civil servants enjoyed good prospects, and there was stability in terms of pay adjustment, and civil servants were paid well as competitive comparing to the market rates. However, in recent years, the civil service pay adjustments departed from the market trend, and that created a gap, and especially for the lower band civil servants. Now, the government should come up with ways to attract and retain talents in the civil service. For example, we should respect the well-established civil service pay adjustment mechanism. There should be more civil servant. We should make the civil servant positions more competitive. There should be sufficient manpower to maintain operations, to take forward the various measures to improve people's livelihood. I so submit.
Mr. Rin Kong. Deputy President, I speak in support of the motion moved by yourself, Deputy President, in the capacity of the Chairperson of the House Committee. The past year has been critical in terms of development of our economy. The policy address is a summary of our development progress in the past year, as well as a promise to the people. Under the great concept of one country, two systems, we have returned to the motherland for 27 years, during which GDP has risen from $1.3 trillion in 1998 to $2.9 trillion in 2023. The GDP has been doubled. It shows that under one country, two system, we have unlimited potential for growth. However, with the challenges brought about by globalization and inherent changes in our social structure, the government must stay vigilant. This is a critical period of adjustments and reform. The government must actively adjust to changes and challenges brought about by the changes in the global political landscape. We need to formulate measures which can encourage unison in society. This is especially so in enhancing the governance structure. Unison or unity can be demonstrated by concerted effort between departments and bureaus. Under the guidance of the philosophy of result-oriented governance, we can further enhance our KPIs and strike a balance between the spirit of service and KPIs. Fulfilling KPIs doesn't mean good governance necessarily. In the past, KPIs were set for various departments. However, because of a lack in a unifying macro objective, there is a lack of unity between the departments in previous term of the government. I support the establishment of the cross-departmental working group. It will bring departments out of their silo mindsets and introduce flexible management and achieve result-oriented governance. To the HKSAR government, to encourage, to inspire unison, we must reform the governance mindset and make it people-oriented. In the future, in policy formulation, we must involve the public more. I suggest the government implementing a governance philosophy based on participation of the public. We should make the policy formulation process more transparent. There should be horizontal accountability of responsibility. In terms of empowering the public as well as creating social resources, the government has made a lot of improvements. Now, in terms of reforms, we must take forward reform in mindsets and move away from old ways of governance and development. As a capitalist society, we must continuously deal with the challenges brought about by the changes in the capitalistic world. There are a lot of global challenges, for example, over concentration of capital leading to social chasm and poverty gap. These issues are manifesting in Hong Kong. I believe that the government can make use of policy strengths, developments in technologies, as well as our financial system to address these issues. We can create inclusive and sustainable growth in our economy. The positive effects brought about by economic developments can, on the other hand, feed into the positive loop of good governance. Finally, the key to the long-term success of one country, two systems is to strengthen the internal governance structure. I thank the Chief Executive for his policy address. I look forward to seeing the government further enhancing its governance capability and its ability in dealing with challenges so as to lay a solid foundation for our long-term prosperity. I so submit. Ms. Lillian Kwok. Thank you, Deputy President. Patriotism is a core value. It is key in terms of securing national security and the success of one country, two systems. Director Xia Baolong mentioned that patriots must administer Hong Kong and tell the good Hong Kong story. And the key is to implement patriotic education in Hong Kong. Through patriotic education, we must enhance people's national identity and understanding of the country. Patriotic education is about fostering moral values and planting a seed of patriotism in people's hearts. After planting the seed, we must nurture these saplings in a structural manner and grow it into a large tree. As a teacher for young children, this is close to my heart. Starting from 2022 on this platform and other channels, I have been proposing various suggestions on promoting patriotic education in Hong Kong, including integrating and steering the framework and incorporating patriotic education into mainstream syllabus, and also set a framework for national security education and add more modules on national development. More study visits should be organized for students in the mainland. There should be also more training for teachers. In the 2023 policy address, the Chief Executive already incorporated the theme of patriotic education. It shows how much importance this government attaches to patriotic education. I'm pleased to see that the relevant measures are being implemented and improved, especially with the establishment of the working group on patriotic education. There can be a high-level steering mechanism for the effort. I also thank the Chief Executive and his team for being pragmatic this year in the policy address. The policy address is up to date and is capable of dealing with challenges. Now, under the spirit of embracing changes and seeking self-renewal, patriotic education is being taken forward structurally. Also, national security education framework will be updated gradually. Now, I hope that we can also enhance the framework for patriotic education. From learning about the country, identifying ourselves with the country, and loving the country, the most important thing is to encourage young people to contribute to the country and embrace reforms. From the private sector to individuals to the government, everyone in society must closely unite ourselves behind patriotism. Director Xia supported Hong Kong to implement patriotic education and strive for growth. Now, riding on this trend of reform, the Hong Kong SAR government must actively seek changes and reforms. The government must have a better understanding of the changes in society and also encourage collaboration between the government and the research sector and the industry to develop our new quality productive forces so that the R&D projects can meet the need of the country and the market. This is what Director Xia said. We need to explore new development directions of our industries. We need to tell good stories of the country with facts. With these efforts, we can have real-life example on how great our country is doing. Now, as mentioned by Ms. Kwang Mei Wan, according to his song, if we love our country and our home, we need to protect it. And everyone and every stakeholder should love the country and protect the country. Only then can we ensure social harmony and also national security. Patriotism can be translated into real actions to make the country better. Under one country, two systems, we can contribute to the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. I so submit. Mr. Kingsley Wong. Deputy President, the theme of this year's policy address is reform for enhancing development and building our future together. It embodies the 4 proposals made by President Xi on his speech on the 1st of July, and also the spirit of the resolution of the 3rd plenum. Reform is the cornerstone to improving governance, boosting the economy, and improving people's livelihood. Under the leadership of the Chief Executive, the government has been launching various measures to improve our educational system and also elderly care and so on. Now, we have a great patriotic tradition. However, during the colonial era, a lot of patriotic labor movements and other movements have been suppressed. I thank the government for righting the wrongs. In June this year, at Sun Yat-sen Memorial Park, a plaque was established for the Great Seaman Strike. It is very meaningful. Now, this is the 75th anniversary of the general strike of the 2 industries. Now, I thank the government for accepting the FTU's suggestion to include the history of the 2 industries' revolts in the museums. Now, next year, there will be more seminars and exhibitions on the 100th anniversary of the general strike in Hong Kong. I look forward to seeing the patriotic feelings among people being roused by these exhibitions. Deputy President, reform is always continuing. We need to deepen reform and implement the 4 proposals made by President Xi to address people's livelihood needs. The government must adopt people's aspirations as the ultimate goal of governance and to share the fruits of economic development more equally among people. Enhancing good governance is key. This term of the government is focused on enhancing hygiene in various black spots. Over 80% of the black spots have been improved. For cases complained to the government, the FEHD and the EEB have been dealing with them swiftly. I applaud the good work of the government. However, for more complicated cases, because of the scattered structure, they were not addressed quickly. Now, there are more than 100,000 idling motorbikes and vehicles. They were not being dealt with. Now, besides this, we have the issues about water leakage from air conditioners, homeless people, and also reflux of drainage pipes. Now, when something happened, multiple departments will have to work together to fix them. So we need to empower certain departments the ability to address these issues comprehensively. Enhancing the governance capability of the civil service is a highlight of the policy address as well. There are measures to extend the mainland cities for civil service exchange tour to Hangzhou, Wuhan, and so on. I suggest securing internship positions within the central bodies, including the Reform and Development Mission and also provincial authorities like Hainan for our civil servants. This will ensure that civil servants can play a bigger role in the GBA developments, as well as the internationalization of RMB, as well as the developments of the Hainan Special Administrative Region. Now we must grasp better how the mainland governments have been implementing the resolution of the third plenum and develop the economy. Now about the civil service code. Under the updated civil service code, civil servants are required to uphold 12 core values, including upholding national security and constitutional order. Civil servants must prioritize in pledging allegiance to the country and the HKSAR. Civil servants have a responsibility to uphold national security. Senior civil servants may be exposed to risk with dual nationality. I believe that we must take the step by requiring directorate-grade officials to declare their nationality. This is only natural. On deepening GBA collaboration, there are lots of facilitation measures to provide convenience for Hong Kong people to live and work and retire in the GBA. For example, extending the application of healthcare voucher to the 8 cities in GBA, $5,000 subsidies for elderly people under the Guangdong scheme, and also facilitation of real-time cross-boundary payment. Now, these measures are responding to the aspirations of the people. Looking ahead, besides promoting portable welfare of elderly people to Hainan province, there should also be tax concession and tax waiver reform as well. The requirements for parents being cared for by working adults to live in Hong Kong on a regular basis should be changed to residency in the GBA. This will eliminate the unreasonable restrictions so that we can enhance the comprehensiveness and synergy in the system.
In his important speech, President Xi said people in Hong Kong want to have better lives and that we have more spacious homes and that there will be more business opportunities. We want better education for our children and elderly people can have better care. In order to realize these dreams for our people, the government has to improve its high-level design of its policies. Reforms have to be made. This includes improving the current social welfare policies. For example, allowances for elderly people are indispensable. However, elderly people find it hard to meet the income limits if they go to work. We should have policies that encourage elderly people to join the workforce to deal with the drop in working population. To make reforms, we have to be bold, to remove barriers and address any loopholes. We should address all these problems. For example, private companies have been making profits and they do not help us tackle inflation problems. There are many conservative funds that have depreciated over the past few years. In the new era, the government has to take the initiative to roll out reforms so that the market can be more effective to deal with the high inflation rate. Also, the government should help low-income people to improve their retirement scheme. Thank you. I so submit. Dr. So Chun-Wing, Deputy President, in his policy address, the Chief Executive touched on policies that deal with problems in the past and challenges in the future. A series of effective measures have been proposed. The theme of this year's policy address is to make reforms and to embrace changes. This shows that the chief executive is moving with the times to roll out innovative reform mindset. This shows that there are substances in this policy address. One of the measures is to leverage the advantages in the Greater Bay Area. One of the policies is to deepen collaboration with the GBA cities. I think we need to build a legal system with the GBA cities so that we can ensure convergence and harmonizations of rules and regulations. Hong Kong needs to play an important role here. President Xi once said that the rule of law can help ensure a good business environment. To improve the legal system, we can improve the environment in the GBA. We can also ensure competitiveness in the business environment of the GBA. We see uniqueness in the GBA, so there aren't many precedences we can draw reference from. There isn't a fixed model that we should adopt. We have to be innovative. The outline development of the GBA has been promulgated for 5 years. We have yielded results in terms of the building of the legal system in the GBA. This includes the jury system in Shanghai. This also includes the Dispute Resolution Center in Shanghai. Mediators from Hong Kong were recruited. We also have an authority like the ICAC in Hong Kong in Shanghai. We have law firms formed by lawyers from different cities in the GBA. We have 41 types of professional accreditation, as well as qualification exams for people in Hong Kong and Macau. The amendment of the SIPA is allowing us to expand the measure of allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to adopt Hong Kong law and allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to choose for arbitration to be seated in Hong Kong. Without questions, we see the uniqueness in terms of the different systems of law adopted in the GBA. There should be collaboration between cities with different legal systems. And in order to achieve that, we need to make dynamic changes. There are different laws and regulations adopted by different GBA cities, and this causes barriers and obstacles. Therefore, we need to ensure harmonization of rules and regulations in the GBA. I suggest that the government, in the latest action agenda in relation to GBA, draw reference from that action agenda. On loopholes, we should, through reforms of mechanism and innovation, adapt to the changes and promote unification and standardization in the region. In terms of the above reforms, we have to ensure synergistic development. Thank you. I so submit. Any members who wish to speak on this session? If no member wishes to speak, I will call upon the public officers to speak. Chief Secretary for Administration. Deputy President, I thank Dr. Starry LEE for moving the motion of thanks and the members who raised valuable points in the first session of the debate. Since the start of the current term government, we have adopted a people-centric approach with economic growth as our focus in taking new measures to actively address various issues about development and people's well-being. The Chief Executive's third policy address adopts the theme of reform for enhancing development and building our future together. This shows our adherence to the four proposals from President Xi Jinping's key speech on the 1st of July 2022 and implements the spirit of further deepening reform comprehensively of the third plenum of the 20th Central Committee of the CPC. Reform is a continuous process. The policy address this year continues to put into practice the idea of reform in the sense of constantly reforming ourselves and deepening systems reforms. The policy address also sets out our objectives, key measures, and performance indicators as part of our pragmatic effort to drive socio-economic development and improve people's quality of life. This session focuses on implementing one country, two systems, strengthening our governance systems, and deepening GBA collaboration. I will first give an overall reply to members' concerns before other officials respond in detail to matters in their respective policy purview. On optimizing the institutional strengths of one country, two systems and safeguarding national security, under the principle of one country, two systems, Hong Kong is rooted in one country and enjoys the benefits of two systems, enabling Hong Kong to serve the country's needs with its own strengths. We'll continue to fully, faithfully, and resolutely implement the principles of one country, two systems. Hong Kong people administering Hong Kong and a high degree of autonomy will continue to fully leverage the institutional strengths of one country, two systems for sustaining the prosperity and stability of Hong Kong. Safeguarding national security is a shared responsibility of the entire community. On the 23rd of March this year, the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance commenced operation. That marked the fulfillment of the Hong Kong SAR government's constitutional responsibility and historic mission. The National Security Exhibition Gallery also opened in August this year. The government will stay vigilant and further enhance the national security awareness of the public and public officers. The government will release guidelines in the first half of 2025 with requirements on how public officers should follow the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance in discharging their duties. Besides, we'll continue to redouble our publicity and education efforts, which include the National Security Education Day, as well as exhibitions and programs marking the 5th anniversary of the promulgation of the Hong Kong National Security Law to better inform the public and raise public awareness. Globally, cyber attacks are a growing risk. In light of this government will table a bill in the Legislative Council within this year. The bill will set out the obligation on operators of critical infrastructure to protect their computer systems to strengthen Hong Kong's sound business environment and status as an international financial center. On promoting patriotic education, the government is committed to fostering mainstream values that are centered on love of our country and love of Hong Kong and consistent with the policy of one country, two systems. This year, the Working Group on Patriotic Education was formed under the Constitution and Basic Law Promotion Steering Committee. The Working Group focuses on exploring strategies and measures to promote patriotic education in line with Hong Kong's actual conditions. It also actively promotes a wide range of community events to help patriotism take root in society through a soft approach that appeals to feelings. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of the PRC. To celebrate this occasion together, the government and community stakeholders hosted more than 400 events around the National Day, with patriotic elements made part of many such events. Next year will mark the 80th anniversary of the victory of the War of Resistance. The government will hold commemorative events to further drum up patriotism among the public. The Chinese Culture Promotion Office will hold events on traditional Chinese culture, including future installments of the Chinese Culture Festival, which was held for the first time this year, and further exhibitions of the General History of China series to promote Chinese history and culture. The Education Bureau will continue to step up education at schools. The work includes enhancing Chinese history and national geography education at primary and secondary schools, adding more visiting spots of red resources to mainland exchange tours, and promoting the joint school and cross-sectoral collaborative activities under the Love Our Home, Treasure Our Country 3.0. On strengthening our governance systems, the current term government stresses a result-oriented approach. Under the CE's leadership, mechanisms have been set up to coordinate work across policy domains. The policy address this year proposes the forming of 4 cross-departmental groups covering key areas such as economic growth, technology, and the nurturing of talent. These groups are each headed by a secretary of the department who sets the policy direction and coordinates efforts across departments to ensure policy consistency and effective delivery of measures. On the top-level design, the Steering Committee on District Governance led by me and the Task Force on District Governance led by the Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration are overseeing affairs across the board and coordinating matters across all parties. District-level issues in everyday life has a direct bearing on people's quality of life and sense of well-being. Those 2 high-level bodies take a holistic and more macro view of district-level problems to ensure compatibility and coordination of policies and measures devised by various players in the district governance system. Stronger top-level leadership aside, we also need a high-caliber and efficient team to govern. That's why the policy address proposes many measures to keep strengthening the governance capabilities and management of the civil service. On better training for civil servants, the Civil Service College will launch the Governance Talents Development Program in 2025. We will step up national affairs training and overseas programs, while continuing civil service exchange programs with mainland cities to broaden the horizons of civil servants. With the central government support, the SAR government will continue to send civil servants to offices of the United Nations on secondments under the UN Junior Professional Officer Program. Besides, to give civil servants a better grasp of our country's policy objectives and strategies, we will hold seminar and learning activities on major policies, speeches, and reports of the central government when appropriate. To further optimize the deployment of human resources, the Civil Service Bureau will be supported by the Digital Policy Office in continuing to pursue management measures and digitalization. On the reward and punishment system, the Secretary for the Civil Services Commendation Award Scheme will be enhanced to spur continuous improvement in the civil service. The Civil Service Disciplinary Mechanism will also be enhanced for cases to be handled with greater efficiency. On leveraging the GBA strengths, the GBA is a strategic fulcrum of the new development pattern of our country, a demonstration zone of high-quality development, and a pioneer of Chinese modernization. In this context, Hong Kong is an active participant, facilitator, and beneficiary. In late 2022, the SAR government set up the Steering Group on Integration International Development, chaired by the Chief Executive, to lead the SAR government and all sectors of the community to play a more proactive role in supporting the National 14th Five-Year Plan, the GBA's development, and the high-quality development of the Belt and Road Initiative, among other major national strategies. To foster legal cooperation and professional exchange in the GBA, the Department of Justice will keep pursuing arrangements for mutual service of judicial documents and civil and commercial proceedings between the mainland and Hong Kong. Wider coverage of cities to be covered by the measures of allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to adopt Hong Kong law and allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to choose for arbitration to be seated in Hong Kong, and the establishment of a GBA legal information platform and a dedicated platform for GBA lawyers. We'll continue to promote the GBA development by building a high level of connectivity, facilitating policy innovations and breakthroughs, and pursuing wider harmonization of rules and mechanisms. Hong Kong has entered the new stage of going from stability to prosperity. Still, with global changes of a magnitude unseen in a century, geopolitical complexities, the impact of external political forces, and the critical transition the Hong Kong economy finds itself in, we will not let our guard down. With our country's staunch support, the SAR government will continue to leverage the institutional strengths of one country, two systems, while further deepening reform, strengthening its governance systems, and intensifying collaboration with the rest of the GBA. We look forward to further views from members in the sessions to come. President, I so submit.
Secretary for Justice. Thank you, President. I thank members for their invaluable insights on the rule of law and related matters. The rule of law has long been the cornerstone to Hong Kong's success. The initiatives on reinforcing the rule of law set out in the policy address is one of the top priorities for both myself and the Department of Justice. DOJ. The DOJ will continue to consolidate Hong Kong's position as a regional center for international legal and dispute resolution services, deepen legal cooperation with the mainland, and support the high-quality development of the Greater Bay Area. We will fully harness the institutional strengths of one country, two systems, enabling Hong Kong to serve the country's needs with its own strengths. The DOJ formally launched the Hong Kong International Legal Talents Training Academy last Friday to commence capacity building programs and conduct Hong Kong International Legal Talents Training Academy projects to cultivate legal talents who are familiar with international law, common law, civil law, national legal systems, as well as litigation and efficacy skills. We will further participate in the next decade of jointly building the Belt and Road Initiative, contributing to the country's efforts to promote the construction of the rule of law, as well as give full play to Hong Kong's unique advantages and positions in connecting our country to the rest of the world. The DOJ has spared no effort in promoting Hong Kong's legal and dispute resolution services. Following the signing of the joint statement on the future establishment of the International Organization for Mediation by China and other like-minded countries, the negotiations on the Convention on the Establishment of the International Organization for Mediation was completed in October in Hong Kong. A signing ceremony for the convention will be held in Hong Kong next year. The DOJ will continue to work closely with relevant bureaus, departments, and contractors to convert the old Wan Chai Police Station into the headquarters of IOMET by the end of the year, so as to enable the IOMET headquarters to be formally established here upon the adoption and entry into force of the convention. The IOMET will be the world's first international and intergovernmental legal organization dedicated to resolving international disputes through mediation, and is important for the implementation of settling international disputes by peaceful means as stipulated in the Charter of the United Nations. The IOMET will provide friendly, flexible, economical, and efficient mediation services, thereby building Hong Kong as the capital for international mediation. To enable the mediation culture to take stronger root in Hong Kong, last Friday, during the Hong Kong Legal Week 2024, we issued the policy statement on the incorporation of mediation clauses in government contract, setting out the government's policy stance and approach on promoting the use of mediation to resolve conflicts in an amicable way, and to implement the policy initiatives set out in the 2023 policy address on deepening mediation culture. To deepen the mediation culture in the community, we will launch a 2-year pilot scheme on community mediation. Through the training of community workers, we help them with mediation skill sets in resolving daily disputes. We will complete the review of the regulatory system on the accreditation and disciplinary matters of the mediation profession in Hong Kong by the end of this year, so as to propose measures to strengthen the regulatory system and commence related work within next year. In recent years, local athletes have consistently achieved great results. Hong Kong has remarkable potential to cultivate a vibrant sports culture. As the global sports market continues to grow rapidly, it is becoming more and more important for there to be a dispute resolution mechanism. With a view to enhancing the sports dispute resolution systems in Hong Kong, we propose to launch a sports disputes resolution pilot scheme next year. We will engage with key stakeholders to formulate the details of the sports dispute resolution mechanism in the hopes of advancing the development of professional sports by leveraging on our strengths in disputes resolution, thereby promoting Hong Kong as a sports hub. To address the challenges and opportunities brought about by law tech, the DOJ will set up the consultation group on law tech development in the first quarter next year, comprising representatives from the legal and dispute resolution sector, law schools, and law tech solutions providers. By sharing their professional knowledge, experience, and insights, the group members can render advice on relevant policy measures and the promotion of law tech application to enhance speed, efficiency, and quality of our legal services that are in line with our national strategy of developing new quality productive forces. To deepen legal collaboration with the mainland and the Greater Bay Area, the DOJ will follow up on the conclusion of the improved arrangement for mutual service of judicial documents in civil and commercial proceedings between the mainland and Hong Kong. We aim to implement the new arrangements such as amending the rule of court in consultation with the judiciary within next year with a view to increasing the possible modes of service and enhancing efficiency. Meanwhile, the DOJ strives for the implementation of the extension of the measures allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to adopt Hong Kong law to the pilot municipalities of the GBA and allowing Hong Kong invested enterprises to choose for arbitration to be seated in Hong Kong to the 9 cities in the GBA within next year. This is to promote the synergistic development of the legal and dispute resolution sectors in both places, whereby facilitating mainland enterprises going global via Hong Kong as the springboard and bringing in overseas investors via Hong Kong as the gateway by leveraging on our unique advantages to fuel the development of a more internationalized business environment in the GBA. To promote professional exchange and training of GBA lawyers, we are actively taking forward the setup of a dedicated platform in Hong Kong for GBA lawyers within next year to facilitate communication and team building, promote exchanges and collaboration, and contribute to the building of the foreign-related legal infrastructure in the country. Meanwhile, the DOJ will set up a GBA legal information platform in the first half of 2026, which seeks to gather information on legal and dispute resolution services in the GBA to facilitate access to the latest and most authoritative information by various enterprises, citizens, and the legal profession so as to better support the high-quality development of the GBA. I've been listening to members' views. For their words of encouragement, I would like to show my appreciation, but some members from the legal sector ask if the DOJ has helped the legal businesses in the legal sector enter the mainland market. The DOJ has been proactively assist the local legal sector expand their market in the mainland, and we have a lot of successful cases. One of the most successful cases is upon working with the Ministry of Law in the mainland, we have extended the pilot scheme by 3 years, and we have lowered the threshold for examination. That is the years of practice from 5 years to 3 years. We'll continue our efforts in this area. The DOJ will lead local delegations comprising professionals from the legal sector to visit different regions annually to promote Hong Kong as a leading center for international legal and dispute resolution services. The government has all along attached great importance to the rule of law education and will continue to initiate various rule of law education programs in a diversified manner. We will launch and other training activities under the third phase of the Rule Stars Train the Leaders program next year while promoting the rule of law education through drama performances. President, the common law system is Hong Kong's unique strength. We must leverage on this advantage to give full play to our role as a super connector and super value adder, contribute to building our country and the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. I implore members to support the motion of thanks on this policy address so that we can strengthen our rule of law and implement measures to enhance our competitiveness through the construction of the rule of law. Thank you, President and members.
Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs. President, I'm most grateful to Ms. Starry LEE for moving the motion of thanks. Also thank members who spoke in this session, and I thank them for their invaluable views. Now, I would like to speak on full implementation of one country, two systems, promoting patriotism, education, and the development of the Greater Bay Area in the policy address to respond to members' views. Now, as President Xi Jinping said, one country, two systems is the best institutional arrangement for ensuring the long-term prosperity and stability of Hong Kong, so we must adhere to it in the long run. And the very fundamental principle of one country, two system is to safeguard national sovereignty, security, and development interest, and also at the same time ensure the long-term stability and prosperity of Hong Kong. So, when one country is strong, then two systems will be an advantage too. And the SL government continues to fully and faithfully implement the one country, two systems, Hong Kong people administering Hong Kong, and high degree of autonomy. And we also safeguard the Constitution and the basic law, and we have improved electoral systems. Now, on the elections, we have already held successfully 5 major elections since the improvement of the electoral system. That includes the 2021 LESCO general elections, the 2022 6th chief executive election, and the district council election last year. We will take stock of the experience from these various elections, and we will continue to enhance the various arrangements, including the election process at various stages, such as voter registration, casting and counting of votes, and so on. We will also introduce more smart technologies to enhance the efficiency of the whole process. Next year, we are going to make technical legislative amendments to the concrete arrangement of the LESCO general election next year. We will continue to promote the improved electoral system so the public learn more about that. Now, patriotism is universal. It is about the deep affection and sense of identity of a person to their country and nation. President Xi Jinping said that the patriotism is the core of the Chinese national spirit. It is that patriotism is deeply rooted in the Chinese nation. It is how the different ethnic origins are united, and also it stimulates generations after generations to work hard for the prosperity of the country. The SL government takes the core of patriotism with affection for Hong Kong and the country. And this is a mainstream core value that we promote. And we have the working group on patriotic education set up in April this year. So we will work on the area of school education, the local community, and so on, to learn about Chinese history and so on. This is to make sure that patriotism takes root in society. And then this is the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. So the working group on patriotic education seized upon the opportunity to promote patriotism. Various celebrations were held, including the 1,000 person wearing costumes, 1,000 person writing calligraphy, 1,000 person choir, and so on. So this is to help the people appreciate more the fine Chinese culture and also have a sense of pride. Next year is the 80th anniversary of the victory of the War of Resistance. We will be holding various commemorative events again to further promote public understanding of our history and also to foster a better, stronger sense of patriotism. Constitution is the root and origin of the Hong Kong SR and the Basic Law. So this is the constitutional foundation and order for the SAR government will continue to promote through various means the Constitution, Basic Law, and the national security through the Steering Committee on Constitution and Basic Law Promotion. The 4th of December is the National Constitution Day. We will, as usual, hold a large-scale seminar. We'll invite various heavyweight speakers to speak on relevant subjects to promote better understanding of the public. And the Greater Bay Area development is initiative personally planned and steered by President Xi Jinping. It is a further step in reaching the practice of one country, two systems. We need to, and then there is the resolution of the Central Committee of Communist Party of China on further deepening reform comprehensively to advance Chinese modernization. That's what it's adopted. It emphasizes deepening cooperation with Greater Bay Area through better harmonization rules and mechanisms, and enabling the GBA to play its role as an engine of high-quality development. So with the hard work of the GBA and the strong support of the central authorities, much achievements have been made. The SL government will continue to give its best to promote, to implement the spirit fully of the third plenary session of the 20th CBC Central Committee. And we will further enhance our international advantage. So we will continue to play the important role of a super connector and so on. And then we will also contribute to the going out policy as well as bringing in. And then we will work closely with the central authorities, the Guangdong province and the Macau SAR. We will make good use of the collaboration mechanism of Guangdong and Hong Kong and Shenzhen. And then we will make sure that we will play a full role in this new strategy. And also, we will continue to take forward the development of Qianhai, Nansha, and Hotao collaboration platforms. We will work together with other GBA cities, and we will also step up cooperation with other places such as the Beijing, Tianjin, Henan Economic Circles, Yangtze River Delta Economic Circle, and so on. We will also tell good stories of the Greater Bay Area, and we will publicize the opportunities of the GBA development. The theme of the policy address this year is reform for enhancing development and building our future together. There are various initiatives proposed in the policy address, so there will be further deepening of reform, and we will further promote economic development. I hope members will support the policy address so together we could build a better and more prosperous Hong Kong. So I speak. Thank you.
Secretary for Security. President, members, first, I thank the chairperson of the House Committee for moving the motion of thanks in response to the 2024 policy address so that we can listen to members' views and thoughts on the policy address. I will start by discussing safeguarding national security and legislating to protect the computer systems of critical infrastructure before giving a brief reply to other issues. Security is always the basis of development. Stability is the precondition of prosperity. The policy address describes security and development as the two wings of a bird, each wing being just as indispensable as the other. Only when security and stability are both assured can the Hong Kong SAR go all out to pursue economic growth in order to shape the future for its community. I'm deeply grateful to members for supporting the Security Bureau's work in safeguarding national security over the past year, especially for backing the enactment of the local legislation for Article 23 of the Basic Law. The new Safeguarding National Security Ordinance has achieved convergence, compatibility, and complementarity with the Hong Kong National Security Law. Together, they form a comprehensive and effective legal system with enforcement mechanisms for keeping our country safe. The Security Bureau will continue to ensure national security. Keeping our country safe is the responsibility of every public officer. In this connection, we are drafting the guidelines on the requirements for public officers to follow the SNSO in discharging their duties. The guidelines will be announced in the first half of 2025. Safeguarding national security effectively requires a community that is well informed about this matter and united by a common purpose. The government will continue to strengthen publicity and education efforts targeted at different community stakeholders. The work includes holding thematic exhibitions at the National Security Exhibition Gallery to tie in with the 10th National Security Education Day and the 5th anniversary of the Hong Kong NSL's promulgation in 2025. Our Bureau will team up with the Department of Justice and RTHK in producing a new series of information programs on national security laws titled NSL Chronicles, with a focus on promoting the NSO. Our Bureau will keep up the work on national security education for young people. This year, we launched an online national security-themed animation series. Next year, we'll bring the series to an offline setting by adapting it for stage performances at schools where students can interact with the drama and prepare printed picture books. We'll also expand the territory-wide inter-school National Security Knowledge Challenge by letting non-Chinese speaking students take part to give young people a better grasp of national security. I hope members will continue to give their support for the Bureau's work in safeguarding our country and home. On legislating to protect the computer systems of critical infrastructure is going to be a priority of our work in the year to come. Some members mentioned about the importance of keeping such systems safe. Indeed, security of the computer systems of our critical infrastructure is crucial to the running of essential services. Only then can Hong Kong cement its sound business environment and status as an international financial center. Therefore, we will impose statutory obligations on operators of such infrastructures through legislation to take various proper measures that strengthen the security of their computer systems so that essential services are less likely to be disrupted or compromised. Achieving this will enhance the overall security of Hong Kong's computer systems. In July this year, we held consultations on the legislative framework. We got 53 submissions that supported the legislation. Only one objection from a human rights group was received from the United Kingdom. In October this year, we briefed the panel on security with an information paper on the outcome of the consultations and way forward of the government's legislative exercise. In early November, we briefed the industry on the legislative proposal. We will table the bill in the Legislative Council by the end of this year. We hope members will give their support to our work. Apart from our work on safeguarding national security as well as computer systems of critical infrastructure, we also work on fighting crimes and strengthening counterterrorism. Apart from the above work, we are going to introduce a 3-tier mechanism. Tier 1 will be the Chief Executive Counterterrorism Steering Group that will maintain a tight grasp on preventive work against terrorist attacks and make decisions when a terrorist attack happens to ensure leadership over the overall counterterrorism strategy. Tier 2, the Secretary for Security Counterterrorism Coordinating Group to be led by me, will coordinate interdepartmental cooperation and follow up on the work. Tier 3 will consist of 7 interdepartmental working groups to follow up on specific studies and carry out counterterrorism work. We will expand the scope of the sexual conviction record check scheme in phases to cover self-employed persons, volunteers, and all existing employees so that while children and mentally incapacitated persons get better protection, the record check system can cope with the demand. We propose to expand the scope of the record check system to prospective self-employed persons in Phase 1 starting from December 2024. Subsequently, we will review the experience and consider implementing Phase 2 of the record check system by the end of 2025 to cover all volunteers. Then we will consider expanding the scheme to the fullest to cover all existing employees and self-employed persons. Meanwhile, to provide convenience for the public, we will roll out an online application platform. In the police headquarters and 6 designated police stations, we'll offer 24-hour fingerprinting ticking services in these stations. The validity period of checking will be extended from 18 months to 36 months. I must stress that taking space oil is harmful to health, causes addiction, and can even be fatal. Therefore, we must tackle it head-on. We have to more stringently regulate etomidate, which is a principal ingredient of space oil, bringing it under control of the Dangerous Drugs Ordinance. We will introduce the legislative amendments to the Legislative Council for negative vetting. We will, by the first half of next year, list etomidate as a dangerous drug to combat emerging drugs and protect public safety. 2. Give full play to the advantages under the One Country, Two Systems. We are rolling out various measures to bring convenience and facilitation to the public and businesses. For example, we are enhancing or have enhanced the arrangements for northbound travel by extending the validity period of multiple entry visas to the mainland for foreign staff of companies registered in Hong Kong to a maximum of 5 years, so that to attract more companies and talents to come to Hong Kong. Also, we're relaxing the criteria for nationals of ASEAN countries applying for multiple entry visas with the validity period being extended to a maximum of 3 years. We're also introducing a fast-track arrangement for visa approvals. We are providing self-service immigration clearance for invited persons participating in business, development and related activities from the 10 ASEAN countries, and provide one-stop handling of the applications for self-service immigration clearance and visa through a dedicated desk. We will announce the relevant details in the first half of 2025. We're also canceling the requirement for visitors to furnish an arrival or departure card to provide more convenience for visitors. By the end of this year, we will, through the adoption of facial recognition technology for identity verification, allow people holding valid closed area permits to enter and leave Chongying Street unimpededly via a contactless mode using the contactless channels upon registration. On a pilot basis, we will review the effectiveness of the pilot run and explore further application of the technology to complement future development. President, this is my brief reply to the valuable points raised by members. In the year to come, our Bureau will continue to lead its disciplinary services to actively implement the measures under this year's policy address. I ask members to support our work. Thank you.
Secretary for the Civil Service. President, first of all, I'd like to thank Madam Chair of the House Committee for moving the motion, and I also like to thank members for their invaluable comments on public services. Civil servants play an important role in the administration of the government. Their professionalism and dedication are crucial to the successful implementation of policies. Since the current term government took office, we have strived to enhance civil servants' governance capacities with results achieved in the past 2 years. We have updated the Civil Service Code to stipulate the core values and standard of conduct that civil servants should uphold, introduced the government-wide mobilization level to enhance our emergency response capability, streamlined mechanism of retiring officers with persistent substandard performance, and stepped up efforts as well as speed in handling disciplinary cases. To create a high-quality and efficient government team, the Chief Executive has proposed various measures in the 2024 policy address to strengthen the civil service management system, build a performance-based management system, and step up training for civil servants to further enhance their governance capabilities. Just now, the Chief Secretary for Administration have made several points. Let me talk about those measures in detail. With the Hong Kong's growing impetus for development, our civil servants must respond to changes and opportunities faster and more efficiently. We will further strengthen our training to broaden civil servants' horizon so that they can carry out their duties more efficiently. Civil servants must have a full grasp of the policy objectives and strategies of our nation. We will organize seminars and learning activities to elaborate on the important policies and the spirit of speeches or reports of the Central People's Government, enabling civil servants to develop a more acute and profound understanding of the core essence and spirit. The Civil Service College, CSC, will also promote patriotic education. The college launched the thematic study program on modern Chinese history to deepen civil servants' understanding of the history of the country's endeavors over the past century and Hong Kong's role and mission in the journey of national rejuvenation, so that they will be proactive in contributing to Hong Kong's development and the country's prosperity. We will continue to organize the program. We will also encourage and assist civil servants' unions to organize local national studies activities and visits to further deepen civil servants' understanding of the country and cultivate their patriotic spirit. To enhance the governance capabilities of leaders, the CSC will launch the Governance Talent Development Program in 2025 to offer targeted training for officers with potential for advancement. The program aims to nurture governance talents with a macro perspective and professional leadership capabilities dedicated to serving both our country and Hong Kong. We are also actively promoting the Civil Service Exchange Program. In 2023, we launched the Civil Service Exchange Program with mainland cities in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area. The first batch of civil servants joined the exchange program in Shenzhen in the first quarter of 2024. We are discussing with the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office of the People's Government of Guangdong Province the arrangement for selecting civil servants for exchanges with the Hong Kong government departments. We will organize civil service staff exchange activities with Beijing, Shanghai, Chongqing, Wuhan, and Hangzhou. In terms of national studies and international training, we will continue to organize the master's degree in public policy program with Peking University and arrange for middle and senior ranking civil servants as well as principal officers to attend national studies programs organized by mainland institutions. We have resumed arrangements for middle and senior ranking civil servants with potential to attend training at overseas institutions. Individual departments or grades will also arrange for civil servants under their charge to attend executive development programs at renowned overseas institutions and to participate in training programs or attachment schemes related to their professional fields at different places. With the support of the Central People's Government, the Hong Kong SAR government will continue to send young public officers to work in the United Nations office worldwide through the UN Junior Professional Officer Program, thereby enhancing their international horizons. Manpower is our most precious resource. We must leverage on our civil servants' talents to further enhance our efficiency and effectiveness. In 2025, with the assistance of the Digital Policy Office, we have introduced management tools and technological solutions to departments through various means such as reports, briefings, and visits to departments. We'll continue to endeavor to drive the adoption of management measures and digitalization among departments to reprioritize and reorganize their works, capitalize on technological solutions, and streamline work processes so as to optimize the use of civil service manpower resources. The CSB will set an example by replacing manpower with technology. We will launch a digitalized basic law and national security test degree professional grades in 2025. The new measure does not only save manpower and is more environmentally friendly, but also allow those who aspire to join the government sit for examination at a time that they choose. There are members who are concerned about the vacancy of civil service positions. This measure will allow those who aspire to join the government apply for the positions that they prefer. We will also advance the performance-based management system and discipline management to make a clear distinction between the two. Over the past 2 years, we have achieved some progress. In terms of commendation, we will enhance the Secretary for the Civil Service Commendation Award Scheme by lifting the minimum service length requirement for the awardee with a view to motivating civil servants of shorter service to continuously strive for excellence. In terms of civil servants' conduct and integrity, we have rolled out a series of administrative measures last year, such as offering training, enhancing management's investigation capabilities, and stepping up the monitoring of the processing time of disciplinary cases by department senior management with satisfactory outcome. We will review the Public Service Administration Order and Public Service Disciplinary Regulation next year to explore whether there is any room to streamline the procedures of disciplinary hearings while being fair to the officers involved to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the handling of disciplinary cases. In 2025, we will consult the relevant body. In mid-2025, we will issue a booklet on knowing more about civil service disciplinary mechanism to civil servants for introducing the disciplinary mechanism to raise their awareness of compliance with civil service rules and discipline requirements. I understand that members are concerned about civil servants' welfare, especially family-friendly and childcare measures. As the largest employer in Hong Kong, we continue to improve the benefits that we offer. The policy address has put forward various policies to show our care and support for civil servants, such as the Civil Service Eligible Persons Seasonal Influenza Vaccination Pilot Scheme, increase service quotas of the Chinese medicine services, provision of childcare leave for government employees to support families with newborn, and create an environment conducive to childcare, a pilot scheme to allow civil servants eligible persons to receive designated dental services at a medical institution in Shenzhen, and enhancing special work arrangements on festivals or their eves. A number of members have proposed suggestions on welfare measures that we offer. With our limited resources, we will continue to improve the benefits that we offer civil servants. President, under the leadership of the Chief Executive, Hong Kong is making every effort to build a vibrant economy, seek development opportunities, and improve people's livelihood. We will spare no effort in implementing the various measures relating to civil services set out in the policy address. We will strive for excellence in areas such as our systems, work arrangement, and training, and render full support to the Chief Executive and administration of Hong Kong, and do so with loyalty, dedication, and spirit of embracing challenges, reform, and innovation with a view to contributing to the development of a country in Hong Kong. I so submit. I hereby appeal to members to support the motion. The first debate session ends.